Toronto Raptors news, boys. Let's talk about what we can expect for the Toronto Raptors this offseason, guys. First of all, what are man saying? Hopefully y'all are blessed. I'm blessed. Happy Monday. We're going to be covering 4 topics about the Raptors today. We're going to talk about who the Raptors are keeping and who they're letting go this offseason. We're going to talk about their salary. Number 2, we're going to talk about the free agency, what the Raptors free agency strategy is going to be. Number 3, we're going to talk about what the Raptors draft strategy is going to be. Number 4, we're going to talk about questions that mans have going into next season, all right? Make sure you guys leave a like on the video. Click the like button. Click the damn like button. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We have new NBA videos every week. Let's get into the first topic of 4, which is who are the Raptors keeping and who are they letting go? So first of all, you guys all know this season, the Raptors had a disappointing season due to a couple of things, mainly being COVID, them being in Tampa, not being able to have any home games, the whole season being a road season, pretty much, the whole season being a road game. And we had to deal with losing Gasol and Ibaka. That really fucked us up. We were dealing with rim protection problems the whole season. We tried to bring in guys like Kem Birch, Freddie Gillespie, Alex Len, Aaron Baines. None of them worked out, so rim protection was a problem for us all season. Just a disappointing season in general. This year, the Raptors will look to add some fresh talent. We're going to look to re-sign Masai. We're going to look to do some sign-in trades, bring back some people during free agency, but we'll get into that later. Let's talk about who's on the team and who are the Raptors letting go. So the Raptors right now, currently, I'm assuming that they're going to bring back most of their players, because if they don't, like, the Raptors have 2 options this season in terms of salary and what they want to do. They can renounce most of their players and keep $18 million in cap space, have about 7 players on the books, or they can bring back all of their players, have about $6 million in cap space with the mid-level exception, but have 12 players. So they'll have 12 players, $6 million in cap space versus $18 million in cap space, 7 players. So it makes more sense to keep the 12 players and keep the $6 million in cap space instead of getting rid of all the trash players and having $18 million in cap space. That's not enough cap flexibility to be able to build a roster. So I'm going to tell you who the guys the Raptors are keeping in order to have the most cap flexibility and the most in-season trade options. So the Raptors will be bringing back the majority of people on the team. The Raptors will have on the roster OG Anunoby, Malachi Flynn, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. Those are the only players with guaranteed contracts. The Raptors will also be bringing back these players, but their contracts are non-guaranteed up to a certain date. Aaron Baines. I know we hate Baines, guys. I'm going to explain to you why we're bringing back Aaron Baines later in the video. So we're bringing back Aaron Baines, Rodney Hood, Yuta Watanabe, Paul Watson, Chris Boucher, DeAndre Bembry, and Freddie Gillespie. So I'm just assuming, obviously we're bringing back Gary Trent Jr. and Kyle Lowry as well, but we're going to get into that later. So the Raptors are bringing back these players. This is what we're assuming based on the cap projection. So the free agents that the Raptors will have this season are Stanley Johnson and Kem Birch. It's very likely we're going to let Stanley Johnson walk. He could probably earn more money with a different team than what the Raptors are willing to pay him. I wouldn't mind bringing back Stanley Johnson. He played very well this season. Was great defensively. Kem Birch, I wouldn't want to see the Raptors bring him back. I feel like he's too undersized to be effective as a center. Yes, he's Canadian. That's cool. He's from Montreal, but I'm not really the biggest Kem Birch fan. I understand that some of you guys may be. So that's what the Raptors are looking like in terms of who's on the roster. They're going to have about 12 players. They're going to have GTJ. They're bringing back. They have to re-sign him. He is a free agent this season, but he's restricted. So they're going to re-sign him. Let's talk about free agency now that we mentioned that. So topic number 2 is free agency for the Raptors, guys. The Raptors are currently capped out. If we're assuming that they're going to bring back their players, they're not going to have any room in terms of signing free agents. They're only going to have the $6 million mid-level exception. So that's enough money to pretty much sign either 2 decent players or 1 good player for about $6 million or 2 players for $3 million. So do it in the free agency. This is what the Raptors are going to do. This will be our free agency strategy. We're going to re-sign Gary Trent Jr., who is a restricted free agent, re-sign him to about a $12 million to a $15 million deal, somewhere in that range. We're going to sign and trade Kyle Lowry, Kyle Lowry is an unrestricted free agent this season. The reason why we're going to sign and trade him is because Kyle Lowry could leave the Raptors for free and just go to a team of his choice. But where he's at in his career, he wants to go to a team that is contending for a championship. So the reason why he wouldn't just go to that team straight up is because most of the teams that are trying to win championships right now don't have cap space. So in order for those teams to acquire Kyle Lowry, it's going to have to be done through a sign and trade. Now, this benefits the Raptors as well as benefits Kyle because it allows Kyle to go to a team that he can actually contend, have a chance to win, and it gives the Raptors some pieces in return for Kyle instead of losing him for nothing. So look for the Raptors to sign and trade Kyle Lowry to a contender, to a team like the Lakers, the Sixers, or the Clippers. Those are the teams that have been thrown around. I wouldn't be surprised if a team came out of nowhere the same way we seen with Chris Paul going to the Suns. So we will see Kyle Lowry get signed and traded. We just don't know who we're going to get for him, and we don't know which team we're going to trade him to. We will use the tax MLE of $6 million to sign 1 to 2 role players with that $6 million. So we already have 12 players on the roster, plus whoever we're going to get from the sign and trade for Kyle Lowry. So using that tax MLE to sign 1 to 2 role players makes sense. What we really need on this team, and we'll get this from the free agency, from the draft, and from signing and trading Kyle Lowry, we'll get these needs. We need a rim protector. That was a big issue for us last year. Chris Boucher he's a decent, not decent, he's a great defender. He gets a lot of blocks, but he's just kind of undersized, if you ask me. He stands at 6'9". I like rim protectors who are at least 7 foot and can move a little bit. We can talk about guys like Evan Mobley when it comes to that. We're going to get to the draft in the next topic. So we need a rim protector. We also need a 3-and-D wing behind Spicy and behind OG. OG and Spicy are great wing defenders. Like, they can guard pretty much anyone in the league. I really love the way they play defense, especially OG. But in case one of them does face injury, we're going to need someone that can come up and play for them and play some substantial minutes. So I'm looking for a 3-and-D wing, either via the sign and trade, the draft, or free agency. So I'm looking for a rim protector and a 3-and-D wing. Depending on what happens with Kyle Lowry, we might need a playmaker of some sort, a point guard. Fred VanVleet is not naturally a playmaker, but we'll get into that later. So now we're getting into topic 3 of 4, which is the draft and the draft strategy for the Raptors. So this year in the draft, the Raptors have 3 picks. We have the 4 pick because we got blessed by the lottery gods. We got pick number 46 and we got pick number 47. So what I'm looking at for the Raptors this year, Raptors, obviously it's a top 4 draft. We got Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, and Evan Mobley. After that, the talent kind of drops off a little with Jonathan Kuminga and Scotty Barnes in the top 6. Not bad players, just a different talent level if you ask most of the draft experts. So with the Raptors, being that we have pick number 4, we don't really have to stress too much in thinking about who we need to take, We'll just take whoever's available with the 4 pick. Most of mock drafts see Cade Cunningham going first and Mobley or Green going second or third. So it's very likely that the Raptors will be left with Jalen Suggs. I would love to get a guy like Mobley, Green, or Cunningham. Those players are incredible, but we're not losing by getting a guy like Suggs. He's a combo guard, can play some 1, play some 2. He's a feisty defender. He could play well alongside a guy like VanVleet. They could both either play the 1 or 2, so I think it could make sense. I don't really like the whole 2-point guard lineup with, like, when we were running Lowry and VanVleet, 2 really short point guards. I feel like defensively, the guys would take advantage of us. But a guy like Jalen Suggs is a more sound defender. I feel like he could really guard some too, so it's not as much of a concern. In regards to the second round picks, guys, 46 and 47, the mock drafts have us taking Isaiah Liver. I never heard of this guy. Isaiah Liver and Aaron Wiggins. That must be Andrew Wiggins' cousin or some shit. Shout out to Aaron Wiggins. So those 2 players, they're cool. They're wings. They're rookies. But what I would rather see the Raps do with those second-round picks is use those second-round picks as incentivized, as a sweetener to trade guys like Aaron Baines and Rodney Hood. So use those second-round picks, package them with guys like Baines and Hood in order to move off of those guys and get some other players in. Because Aaron Baines, we saw last year, he's no use for the Raptors. He's just not what we thought he was going to be. We thought he'd be able to be like a poor man's Marc Gasol, not at all like that. He's a bit washed. So hopefully we can package him with a second-round pick, get him out of Toronto, get something in return like a decent big man. Same thing with Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood's a decent player. I wouldn't mind keeping him. but I also wouldn't mind packaging him with a second-round pick, seeing what we could get in return. So I'd much rather use the second-round picks to facilitate some trades, whether it be on the draft or during the free agency, facilitate some trades, or maybe even in-season trades, because Aaron Baines and Rodney Hood are expiring contracts. So teams that want to create cap space would be interested in trading for those guys so they can have cap space going into the following season. So guys, those are my 3 topics. Now we're getting into the 4th and final topic, which is questions going into the next season. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'll talk about it. But my questions for you guys are, what would you like to see the Raptors do with the 4th pick? What player would you like to see the Raptors choose? Would you like to see the Raptors trade up to move higher in the draft? Would you like to see the Raptors move down to get some assets in return? What would you like to see the Raptors do with the 4th pick? We have many options. Me personally, I would love to see the Raptors somehow get Jalen Green. I feel like he would be a great fit for the Raptors. I think he has the highest ceiling out of everyone in the top 4. I think the guy like Evan Mobley, he probably has the 2nd highest ceiling. Kate Cunningham probably has the 3rd highest ceiling, but he has the highest floor right now. I would love to see the Raptors get Jalen Green just because we have the same name. You know, I got to support all the Jalens. I wouldn't mind getting Jalen Suggs either, but I would love to see the Raptors get Jalen Green because he's Filipino, guys. If you're from Toronto, you know that there's a very strong Filipino presence in Toronto. So I feel like him coming here, he would automatically be a hometown favorite. All the Filipino people from Toronto would get behind him. You see Bear, Philippines, Raptors, green jersey. So I think it would be interesting. But another question I have for you guys is, what do you expect from the Raptors this season? Do you expect them to make the playoffs or what? And what seed do you expect them to be if they do make the playoffs? Other than that, guys, that's the video. This is what you can expect from the Raptors in the offseason. We covered who's going to be on the team, what they're going to do during free agency, what they're going to do during the draft, and questions going into the next season. If you enjoyed the damn video, click the like button. It's free. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We have new NBA videos every single week. Peace, guys. Let me know what team you want me to do next.